As far as modern action heroes go, one of the most enduring has certainly been Jason Statham, who's headlined a whole slew of modestly budgeted action flicks that have made him one of the few genre staples still left in the game.
All right, everyone, chill.
His career has been an interesting one, with him alternating smaller-scaled action flicks with bigger, tentpole event films, such as the Fast and Furious movies and the Meg 1 and 2.
Then consider this, or quits.
Yet, the movie that established his persona wasn't either of the Transporter films or even any of the Guy Ritchie movies that first put him on the map. Nope, rather it was a small-scale but ambitious quasi-remake of the film noir classic DOA that put him on the map in a big way. That's right, folks, it's time to figure out what the happened to Crank. Jump back to 1997 when a young English director named Guy Ritchie put out a little film called Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, which caused a sensation. Of the unknown actors in the film, there was a young man named Jason Statham, who had been a competitive swimmer in England before becoming a rather macho-looking male model in the mid-90s. Despite a receding hairline and unconventional good looks, Statham's role in the film caused a stir, leading to Ritchie giving him one of the leading roles in his follow-up, Snatch, which was an even bigger hit. This led to 2 supporting parts in 2 American films, with him cast in John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars and the Jet Li vehicle The One, in which he got to show off some of his martial arts training, with Statham having prior expertise in kung fu, kickboxing, and karate, all of which would serve him well in his career as an action star. These roles and his clear physical prowess caught the eye of Luc Besson, who was in the process of assembling a slew of European-made action films in English for the international market. He was given the lead in The Transporter, where he played a shady courier/getaway driver who breaks his own code when he realizes that he's gotten caught up in human trafficking. The role was a riff on the then popular slate of BMW short films starring Clive Owen as an unnamed driver. The film was a modest success, making $25 million in the US and another $18 million internationally, yet it was an absolute smash once it hit DVD, with it turning into such a big seller. A sequel, Transporter 2, was produced, which ended up doubling its predecessor's gross. It was also helped by the fact that the successful remake of The Italian Job had also showcased Statham to great effect. Thus, Jason Statham had arrived. Now the time would come for him to play the lead in his first solo American studio film. Enter Mark Neveldine and Brian Taylor, 2 former DPs and camera operators who would also operate both A and B camera units on the movies that they'd make going forward, making their directorial debut with Crank, a film that they'd also written. Crank uses the same formula as the classic film noir DOA, which stands for Dead on Arrival, where a man is poisoned and given only a short time to live, which he uses to track down his killers. In Crank, the anti-hero would be a hitman improbably named Chev Chelios. Poor Chev has been infected with a drug that inhibits the flow of adrenaline, eventually killing the victim. Yet there is a way for him to at least temporarily stay alive. If he can keep his adrenaline going, he can stay living. So, in order to have time to track down his killers, he has to keep adrenaline flowing any way he can, meaning lots of fights, lots of stunts, lots of car chases, and, well, lots of drugs. It's a unique take on the genre, but it wasn't really designed with Statham in mind, even though he fits the character so perfectly. In fact, the film was originally pitched as more of a dark comedy, and it was offered to both Nicolas Cage, who would have been the perfect Chev Chelios, and who would later work with the directors on Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, and Johnny Knoxville in a more comedic take on the material, before they finally went to Jason Statham.
Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass.
In an interview, the directors claimed that they wanted a non-traditional action hero for the lead, with Chev Chelios considered kind of a throwback to the kind of action protagonists you'd see in 70s films, with guys like Roy Scheider. This dovetailed nicely with Statham's own plans for his career, with him wishing to make something down and dirty and R-rated as opposed to the PG-13 Transporter movies. He wanted to get away from the overly polished and CGI-enhanced vibe of those films, and this proved to be the ideal vehicle, with the resulting film perfectly marrying the streetwise anti-hero vibe of Statham's work in the Guy Ritchie movies to the action genre, with heavy doses of black comedy worked in. Sporting a very low $12 million budget, Neveldine and Taylor were early adopters of digital technology, with them shooting the film with a Canon XL2 and Sony Cinealta HDC f950 cameras. No CGI was used at all, with the fight scenes grounded, despite the film having an ultra-frenetic, almost demented pace. Basically, the movie took the aesthetic of something like Run, Lola, Run, in which the pace never let up, but then gave it this heavy-duty methamphetamine-imbued vibe as per the name Crank, which of course is slang for meth. The film also benefited from a strong supporting cast, which included Amy Smart as Chev's girlfriend, who, in order to save his life in one scene, has sex with him in public to keep his adrenaline going. Napoleon Dynamite's Efren Ramirez shows up as Chev's cross-dressing sidekick, while Dwight Yoakam gives the film some class as his doctor. Also, look for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia's Glenn Howerton in an early role. Despite being heavily advertised on a then-new platform called YouTube, Crank wasn't a major success at the box office, topping out at about $27 million domestically, which was a decent enough number considering how low budget it actually was. And when you put together the foreign gross, it ended up making a pretty nice profit in theaters. It set the pattern for many Statham movies to follow, with a lot of his vehicles only performing modestly at the box office. But this was the 2000s, when the DVD business was at an all-time high, and movies like Crank became solid hits once they hit disc. And Crank, of course, became one of Lionsgate's biggest selling catalog titles. It also made a lot of money on cable, and eventually became kind of a mainstay on streaming. In fact, just like The Transporter, it was a big enough moneymaker on home video that Neveldine and Taylor were approached by Lionsgate to make a sequel, Crank High Voltage, and basically given carte blanche, which is perhaps why it's an even more deranged movie than its predecessor, where Chev somehow survived falling out of a helicopter over downtown Los Angeles at the end of the first film to fight another day. This one tanked the box office, only making $13 million, killing potential plans for a third film. Whatever the case, Crank helped make Jason Statham the icon he is today, with it quickly followed by movies like Death Race and The Expendables before the Fast and Furious films arguably elevated him to another sphere.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
With his recent The Beekeeper, one of his highest grossers in terms of solo star vehicles domestically. As for Neveldine and Taylor, well, they went on to direct Gamer and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance before their partnership ended. Mark Neveldine, who married actress Alison Lohman, has had a low-key career since, with his DTV action movie Panama earning pretty poor notices, although one hesitates to blame him too much because apparently the film was only shot in 14 days, and I'm not sure how you make a good action movie on a timetable like that. Meanwhile, Brian Taylor directed the pretty well-received Mom and Dad before the recent Hellboy the Crooked Man, which more or less went direct to VOD but earned some solid reviews, including from our own Tyler Nichols. That said, Statham apparently has a lot of fondness for the Crank films and has repeatedly said he'd make another one if Neveldine and Taylor were involved, so perhaps we'll get another adventure for Chev Chelios after all.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo remains an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.